Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be working on a jet pattern. It's going to be test pattern 5, and I'm going to be doing my best to use stock parts, mostly a lot of these parts from the C7 Aerospace Division Company, and I'm probably going to have to look at what other companies come stock with KSP because I do have a lot of mods, but I want to make this build friendly to people who don't have any mods installed, who want to see the process of building a jet from start to finish. Or this could be a guide of sorts for any aircraft that you might be building that has the same sort of jet pattern design. Okay, so here I have the Mk1 inline cockpit. This is the standard cockpit that I tend to use. And to use a little bit of this space in the front, I'm going to go ahead and add a fuel tank. And now I'm looking for a stock aerodynamic cone that will be the right diameter so that it matches up with the inline cockpit. It took me a while to find it, but this Goliath one is going to work just fine. I'm going to turn snapping off, and I'm going to pull it back until the two edges come together. And this space can be used to store other resources, like batteries, or you can put some thermal electric generators in there. And now I'm going to go ahead and add the reaction wheel to the front. This part is completely optional, but if you're still new to flying, it helps a lot. Or rather, if you're still new to landing, it helps a lot. A little rough, a little rough, a little rough. Oof. So I'm going to go ahead and slide it back. It does peak a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and just fudge it a tiny bit to accommodate it. So now I'm going to go ahead and select the reaction wheel, and I'm going to turn it off until all the testing is done. I really just want the reaction wheel to enhance the plane's stability, and you might find out that it's completely unnecessary once you've done all the testing. I'm also going to turn off the reaction wheel that comes with the Mk1 cockpit. Now I'm going to go ahead and add some additional batteries to give me a nice buffer from powering out. If you decide to not use the reaction wheels, you might be in the clear to skip this step. So there's 500 units of power. It's a little overkill, but it will cover all my energy needs for sure. Now I'm going to start building out everything behind the cockpit, starting with more fuel. I want to make the fuselage longer, but as I do so, I also want to see where the center of gravity ends up. This looks like it'll be too far forward, and when the fuel drains, it'll move around as well. So this part just takes a little bit of testing around. I'm going to try using the inline intake so I can start adding intakes to the design. This part in particular also adds more fuel. So I think my jet might be long enough for me to start adding engines. The Panther is a good option, and then I do have some here from mods that I can't use. I'm going to look at the ISP rating. This gives me an idea of how quickly the engine will consume fuel. I also want to compare thrust. This might be more power than I need for this project. I think the Panther will work better for the small aircraft I'm building. Another neat feature is the ability to switch to afterburner mode, or wet as it's labeled here. Look at how the ISP changes because this mode is less efficient but generates more thrust. If I scroll down here, I can see exactly how much more thrust it's going to generate. And also I can see that it has vector gimbling. Basically it vents the thrust to change the vector by pointing it in a different direction. Now that I have the engine selected, I can get a better picture of where the center of gravity will be before and after using up all my fuel. This is looking good because the weight doesn't move a lot and it moves forward, which is preferable. If the center of gravity moves too far backwards, the plane can become increasingly unstable. I'm going to see if I can move the center of gravity further back and maybe get a smaller shift in the center of gravity when the fuel does drain out. Unfortunately, now the weight is proportionally closer to the front of the plane, but it should still be okay. One improvement is that the weight now shifts only a little bit. From the start, this is pretty good. Thrust to weight ratio of 1.4 is pretty good as well. So So let's see if we can basically wrap this design up with our wing design. I'm gonna set up the wings, not perfectly clearing the center of gravity. Like in the example, it's gonna be overlapping just a tiny bit. Okay, kind of happy with the way that looks. So here's this vector, here's center of mass, here is this. I still need to add the control surfaces and the rear wings. Then I'll be able to adjust the center of lift to put it exactly where I want it, behind the center of mass. Here I'm adding the flappers, and then I'm going to add one control surface to fill in that space, and then I'm going to add one more at the tip to act as the aileron. Now I'm just going to line them up so the seams match up. Kind of like that. Alrighty. Then one more thing that I'm going to do is grab this, leave that active. I'm going to defer to my notes here. We're adding our surfaces right now. No, we're doing this, but I'm gonna choose to move the wings downwards, and I'm gonna slant them upwards because that's gonna give us some roll stability here, and it's gonna make the plane a lot easier to control. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab this right here. I don't have an exact amount, but I want to go with slight, but enough to be clearly noticeable. I'm going to lower the center of lift until it lines up with the center of mass as best as I can get it. So for now, this is the configuration of the wings. Yeah, push it forward like about that much, because the rear control surface is going to actually pull this backwards. But for now, this is what we're looking at. Now, normally I defer to using, where are they? This one, but it's a Blue Dog manufacturer one, so where is it? I know there's another one that's pretty big. It'll definitely work. Ah, here we go. Oh yeah, it's by C7. Perfect. Perfect. So we're gonna grab this one, turn that up, and we can't connect that. We connect it here. Gonna push it as far back as I can, even if it's coming off of the jet a little bit. I want to make sure the flappers on the wing in front don't collide with the rear wing. I also need at least one rudder, but I like the look of having two rudders. The easiest solution is to just use another of the same wing. A better solution would be something with a smaller control surface area, like this. Getting pretty close to having it done. We do need more air intakes. We do need landing gear. And ideally we want to add another reaction wheel back here, which we'll turn on later, but let's just go ahead and I'm gonna grab this one, attach it to that, and then do the same whole trick from earlier. Grab this, yep, and just slide that until it disappears. Now we have the reaction wheel in here, and I'm going to disable it from now. Yep, we just need the extra air intakes. Actually, before we do any of that, we're gonna do one test that I typically do, and this will give us an idea of where we're at. Give us a pretty strong idea of where we're at. I'm gonna clamp it down, and then we're just gonna light the engines and see how much power can be generated. So here we are. I'm gonna go ahead and just clamp this on here. I'm going to do that. And yep, we're just gonna see how long we can keep this bad boy running. So we're at 100 right now. It's got a nice cool shot. Keep cranking it up, I guess, yeah. Gonna wait until these numbers start to scroll down a little slower. Once they stabilize, that's when you know that this is the fuel flow for that, and you know, we're at 100%. Let's just go all the way up to the top. We're still keeping it, okay, they're at 85%, 84%. If we can keep this, that's fine, we can use that. That's actually, that means we would, yeah, that works. Let's see, we're going to toggle that. So, let's watch this. Did you catch that? It goes back to 100 once we start moving forward. Before I start adding more intakes, I'm checking to see what the intakes are optimized for. Some are optimized for subsonic flight, some are optimized for supersonic flight, and then some cover both. This inline intake doesn't specify, so I'll assume it covers all bases well. Nonetheless, these intakes weigh very little, so I'm going to go ahead and add 2 of them. And then we can put them on the wing, we can put them on the body, it's whatever I want. Let me just schmooze it a little bit and we'll call it good. Okay, yeah. As to not overcomplicate things, we'll say that this is a decent look. And then just, you know, these are going to be optimized for supersonic flights. That's why we have these ones, to complement what we have already. Just going to take these off. Or actually, let's go ahead and do a bench. So, let's go ahead and pop this open. Let's look at our engine. And let's launch. All the way. Full crank. Let's look at this number right here. Last time we were at, like, I think 80, 81. We're gonna see right now where we end up at. And look at that, that's actually really great. We are at 100%. We didn't really need that to happen, but I will take it. And then we'll toggle mode when wet. Well, we're still holding 100. So we have, this is an excess of intake because we actually don't really need it to do 100% at stationary. We could have got away with 85. We can totally rip these off and be fine, actually. But yeah, this is where we're at right here. Alright, so at this stage, I think we might be able to take these off and be fine still. Well, let's see, our thrust weight ratio is this, so we hit save. So it doesn't really go up by a whole lot. So I'll leave them on, they don't really take away too much from the thrust to weight ratio. I'm going to go ahead and look for our landing gear. Just go to mass. This is by Lightyear Tire Company. Is it on the approved list of manufacturers? Yep. So we can go ahead and grab these ones. I like to put mine on the wing, but because the wing is slanted, it's going to present a slight difficulty. Let me see where we're at weight-wise. Okay, right there. I'm going to attach them to this. And I'm going to put one back here. Just going to do that right now. Here is one. Slightly behind the center of mass. And then two of them. It's going to be tricky. I want to put up here. Yeah, okay, so that's on there pretty straight. Go ahead and adjust the position of this. I think maybe like that's gonna be our position. Just nudge it. There we go. I'll call that good. So it's not super wide, but it's better than nothing. And then we're further away here, a lot closer here. I do have to worry about this colliding, which means I might want to move this back a little bit more. Let's just go ahead and do that right now. Okay. So this is going to be our landing gear. From here, things are going to get pretty technical, starting off with assigning control surfaces to the specific axis they will control. For example, the control surface on the tip, here labeled as the aileron, will control the plane's rolling axis. The one I placed in the middle won't do anything, and the one labeled as elevator will control the plane's pitch in this instance. So this one right here, off, off, off. This one right here, only roll right there. This one, we're going to turn them all off and just leave pitch only. And then this one, deploy, angle, you can go real high on this one if you want to. This one right here, it's going to be pitch only. This one, yeah. So yaw control only, pitch only, roll only, and then pitch only. So those are controller surfaces. This one does nothing. Before I start my first flight, I do have a few more things I have to take care of, starting with action groups. I'm going to assign control surfaces to deploy when I hit action group 1. And those will act as air brakes. I'm going to tweak how much they deploy during testing. I will also add them to the brakes action group to help slow down the plane when I land. One last thing before I finally do my first test flight is I'm going to set up the wing's angle of incidence. And basically I'm going to go ahead and just grab the wing and give it a slight tilt backwards. You see as it's shifting around here, the center of lift is going forward and back a little bit. So as I tilt it back, this is going to allow me to push the center of lift a little bit more forward. And this is going to help the plane from pitching downwards when I want to maintain a horizontal flight path. Right there, perfect, right there. A little bit closer because closer will be more responsive. And where I'm getting all this information from, This is the jeopardized notebook. So let's go ahead and take a look at this real fast. Control copy. We're gonna learn everything that you could want to know from right here. Basically all of this stuff right here. All the topics you're gonna want to cover right there. Actually, angle of attack might be it right here. Go through this if you want to get a better understanding, or, you know, watch my video. Okay, so we've pulled it forward. I also want to see we're pretty in line. And I want to say that this is all looking super good for our first flight. So let's go ahead and launch. I think that's everything we need to do. During the start of the flight, I'm going to have the SAS turned off and reaction wheels turned off. And that's going to help me see how the plane flies on its own. Then I'm going to turn them back on. And I'm going to set the deploy angle for all of the control surfaces. And I'm going to set the authority limit on all the control surfaces. So it's going to be a pretty long test. Alright, so how are we doing so far? Let's crank it up. Let's look at this. Alright, after a certain speed, we should be able to maintain a flat trajectory without the nose dipping down like it is right now. So let's pay attention, let's see what's happening here. What could be happening is we need to move our center of thrust lower and our center of mass higher, so that there's a natural pitch up tendency for the vehicle. Because right now we have a natural tendency to want to nose down. If I turn on SAS, we can hold our position, and then this will give us the opportunity to start testing out different things like air brakes. See how the air brakes make the plane pitch down immediately? That's something you're going to want to adjust. Now, a good place to start, turn them on again. Usually you're going to want to take the horizontal stabilizer, hit deploy direction to invert it. Okay. So I'm going to give it less deploy angle. I'm going to give the plane some more thrust and some turning on the brakes. Okay, look at that. And then look at that. Cool, 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 cool. You want to push these values around until you're happy with how much drag you can create. And a pitch upward isn't bad if you're going to use them during landing. You do want a little bit of pitch upwards if you want to use these for landing. But if you want to use them during normal flight, then you want to minimize it down as much as you can. Now I'm going to start adjusting the control surfaces, starting with roll. Although a better way to get a feel for it is to rotate the plane and see how many seconds it takes to do one full rotation. Turn off SAS. Let's try it. If you're happy with that, you can leave the roll as is. Anyways, I'm doing a little bit of tweaking with the deploy angle to see if I can get more braking power. This one, that's such an interesting one. Let's look at the yaw deployment, or the authority. Good. I mean, I don't really use yaw too much, so having maybe a little less than this is fine. So authority 20, Deploy angle. We'll do 18. Here I'm seeing how much authority I will lose when I have my rudders in air brake mode. I don't need a lot of control, but some would be nice if I start to veer off the runway during a landing and want to steer back towards the runway. 20, what happens here? They move still? Okay, okay. So 20 and 20, I think we're gonna do that. 20 and 20 right here. I prefer to test pitch control in IVA mode, but if you for some reason can't or prefer not to, you can also set the camera to locked. Do a locked camera. And then, you know, just kind of test it out, see how you like it. Ooh. So, okay, I'm thinking that I might want a little more. So let's go ahead and grab this. Authority to 30. And I'll nudge this one right here, just a tiny bit. Actually, I think the roll control can be a little higher too. Maybe a little less. Also check these out with SAS turned off. See if you like how it's going. One thing I want to look more closely at is the G-forces the pilot would be experiencing. While there's a G-force gauge on the right side of the nav ball, a more fun way to do this is to use one of the IVA cockpits with the digital G-force readout. I want to look at this right here, the G-force meter. I don't want it to consistently be able to give me more than 10 Gs. So this might be where we top off as far as being able to pull on this right here. So let me see if I can get some speed going. Right here. And we're gonna test out our Gs. So right about here, let's look at this right here. 13, 18, 15, 14, 12, 10. That was crazy. Let's try this again. 10, 11, 9. So for that reason, you might want to jog it back a little bit. 30. We'll do like, what was it, 25 before? We'll do like 27. Okay. I mean, you know, you can get a little less, get a little more. That's really going to be all up to your liking, really. How much G-force you want to be able to tolerate. And for how long. Have a little fun with it right here. This is pretty good. What you're gonna want to do now, once you've got your surfaces and everything figured out, and take a screenshot. Oh, look at that! I didn't even know that was possible. Anyways, get yourself a screenshot because you're gonna make these adjustments in the VAB. I decided to check if the center of thrust was below the center of mass. It was difficult to see for certain, but it looks like it clears. This means the jet will have a small amount of tilt because the thrust is off center. So as far as I can tell, that's all actually looking pretty good. Let's go back to this. Right over here. So the blue is the center of lift. The yellow is the center of gravity. Right now we're looking at this kind of configuration right here. It's balanced, but we can get a little bit more stability if we could raise it just a little bit higher. We can do that by tilting the wings up and also by pushing the wings up. So that's one idea of what we can do here. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and make one adjustment, which is this guy. Lift it a little bit. Okay. And then the angle. Maybe let myself up pretty good. And then so we can use something to help. Just specify its old location. Okay, it's a little more aggressive. Now I'm going to input all the settings that I figured out for the control surfaces. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and leave these off for right now. We've made our adjustments. Let's fly. Alright, let's go ahead and give this a test. Alright, no SAS turned on. We're just going to fly it like this. And what we're looking for is to eliminate this nose drop issue. Even with the high angle of incidence, we're still dropping our nose pretty quickly. If I let this sit for a second, you're going to go ahead and see that it's going to start to drop down. Okay, the issue is still present, but it's not as bad. I'm probably going to want to do just a little bit more adjusting on the wing. So I'm going to temporarily move the center of lift closer to the center of mass while I keep tilting the wings back. This will allow me to make sure the center of lift stays above the center of mass. Now I'm just going to kind of more or less put the wings where I think they will be good. Right here, just right there, like that. You can go here, here, here. You can even, if you're daring to, go here. Not recommended. Not recommended. Okay. Decent. Pretty standard. So, this is going to be a little bit more in the sporty, maneuvery kind of section. Alright, I'm going to hope that all the adjustments are going to work. Let me make sure everything looks good. Authority limiter 2. Deploy. Roll. None. Cool. This hopefully takes care of everything. This hopefully is going to be our last test flight. Here comes what is hopefully the final test. The only thing we're looking for now is whether or not this angle is going to keep the nose from pitching down while we're at a relatively good cruising speed. 200 meters per second. Anything above that, if we can keep our nose up without any SAS control, that'd be perfect. Oops, the wrong button there. Okay, we're looking a little pear-shaped right now. We're dropping. But fortunately, it looks like I'm close, but not quite there yet. I'll have to go back to the SPH and adjust the wing angles some more. So back in the spaceplane hangar, I'm going to go ahead and check to see how much I've already tilted the wing with local. It already looks pretty aggressive, but I'm going to give it a little more. And that's looking pretty aggressive right there. Now I'm going to go ahead and move the wings forward just to see where our spheres overlap. This way I can make sure that the center of lift is going to be just a bit above the center of mass. And now I'm going to adjust this to my preference. So I'm going to pull the two spheres until they're just barely touching each other. Alright, do or die, here it goes. If we can't get the angle good, we're just gonna have to rely on SAS, cause you know, yeah. Look. Look at that. Look at that. Look at it! We actually have too much now. We're starting to climb. I'll show you what it looks like on the document. In fact, let's hit a quick pause right here. Where are we? Right about here. So, this is what we were dealing with. This is what I would like. This is where we're at right now. You see that? Let's go back to our KSP. Let's see what happens. I'll leave it just at a slight tilt because I don't want to keep fighting with it. Actually, it's starting to get a little more tilt than I want. Alright. We found the balance. Look at that. We got the balance. I didn't know if it was going to happen. I was ready to throw in the towel. We got the right balance. It is good. It does incur more drag, and I think our airspeed is going to be a lot slower now. But it is stable. No SAS required. No... So where is it? Not here. Oops. Disabled. Now I'm just going over anything I missed. One thing being making the front landing gear stick out more than the rear landing gear. This way the plane has a small pitch upwards on the runway. Let's grab this. Perfect, that's what I want right there. Of course. Their action wheels need to be turned back on by default. So we're going to have them active. Just gonna go for a flight with them active. And then we're gonna make these active again. Sweet. Now in actions. We're gonna get into some nice things here. So we have stage, gear, RCS. For me personally, switch mode. You could always just map it on the 10, 1. Well, once air brakes. For me, your brakes can also be here, so you can use 1, 2, 3, 4, whichever ones you want. Personally, I'm gonna leave mine on RCS. And then some other things you can do is, let me see, number 10, I like to make shutdown engine. Or, actually, no, not shutdown engine. 10 can be, toggle engine, where is it? Toggle engine. Abort shutdown engine. Alright, so that's 1. This is 2. I'm gonna jump over to number 9. I think that would be a good one for this one. Yeah. Number 9 is going to... there's cycle mode, and there's toggle. We're gonna do toggle. The toggle, the cycle wheel mode, it's gonna be this when you're SAS only, pilot only, normal. But we don't want that. What we actually just want is this right here. So we're going to go to toggle. And right here we're going to go to toggle reaction wheels. So I can turn them off if I want when I'm flying it around. I want to just see what it looks like when I'm flying it without reaction wheels and SAS turned on or off. I can go ahead and do that. And that's about it. Basically, this concludes the video now. Thank you for watching and enjoy the outro test footage. It's only 30 parts. That's really efficient, streamlined, it's slick.